right, so welcome back for the last page, which is page 5 of the Unit 2 mid-unit assessment. It starts with question 10. All right, let's get right into it. It shouldn't be too long of a video because there's only 2 questions on page 5, so it should be a pretty quick one. All right. The bar model below shows that the Bulldogs score 6 times as many points as the Hawks. So again, here's your bar model, and they put the Bulldogs on the bottom, right? Because again, the times as many, I can't stress that enough, times as many part of the bar model goes on the bottom. So what we have here is the Bulldogs, and we know that it's 6 times as many, and it's shown by the 6 boxes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times as many as the Hawks. The Hawks is our top part of the bar model, and it is also our unknown because we don't know how many points the Hawks have scored. And that's why it's represented with a question mark, right? So again, here's our question mark. So what we do know is that the Bulldogs, as shown by this bar model, did score 48 total points. So when you go 6 times as many as what, right? So let me write that here. 6 times as many as what equals 48. Okay, that's what we know. So our question is down below. It says, which equation can be used to find H, or they should have said the question mark, or H for Hawks, right? The unknown. So which equation can be used to find the unknown number of points that the Hawks score? So we got to go through each of these answer choices and see which one is correct. It's not a choose all. Like there's only going to be one answer. But anyway, let's look at A. 48 minus 6. Well, no, we're not taking 6 away from 48 to solve that. That's not what the Hawks scored, so we can cross that out. We're also not adding 6 to 48 because it's something times 6 that would equal 48. So it's not adding. All right, 6 times 48, right? So if I did that as a repeated addition, right, it would be 48 plus 48 plus 48 6 times, right? Well, that, my friends, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I do that 6? No, one more time. Right, that also doesn't make sense because we're not adding, 48 is not inside the boxes. We're not adding 48 every time. So the only thing left is 48 divided by 6 equals H. And that does make sense, right? Because if we took our total, 48, and we divided it evenly into 6 boxes, we would get what's inside each box. So our correct answer here is D, 48 divided by 6. All right. Warning on this one. This is a 2-step problem. A common mistake that 4th graders do is only do the first part, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into it. But this is a 2-step problem, so warning on that. Last week, Marla played her flute for 5 hours. And that was last week. So last week, she played her flute for 5 hours. Now this week, she plays her flute for 4 times as many hours as last week. What is the total number of hours she played her flute over the 2 weeks? I'm going to circle that. Record your answer on the grid and then fill in the bubbles. So we're going to talk about that too. So last week, here's our bar model. I put last week on the top and it's 5 hours. And I knew that because this week is the times as many part. And again, the times as many goes on the bottom. So last week is 5 hours. So we're going to fill that in. This week, it's 4 times as many as she did last week. So it's 4 times as many as 5. Well, we know the answer to that is 20. And a lot of 4th graders stop here and say that the answer is 20. But that's not our question, boys and girls. They want to know what's the total number of hours Marla played over the 2 weeks. So you have to add what she played last week, which we know is 5 hours. And, oh, I'm sorry, not last, sorry. Let me scratch that. This week, and we've got to add what she did this week to last week. So last week is 5. I'm going to move that over here. Last week is 5. And we know that this week is 20. So we have to add, again, what she did this week, which is 20, to last week, which is 5. So our answer is 25, not 20. Because, again, they wanted to know the total over the 2 weeks. So our answer is 25. So let's talk about this grid. When you see a grid like this, you have to answer that like a traditional number with your ones place being on the far right. And the number in our ones place is 5. And the number in our tens place is 2. So that's 25. So we're starting here just like we would a number going from the ones place over. So 5, and you color in the 5 down here. And you color in the 2 for 25. All right, and that's how you fill in the grid. So again, be careful in problems like this. You want to make sure you're reading the question, making sure that you understand. So this was a 2-step problem, not a 1. All right, friends, hope this was helpful. Take care, and good luck on your test.